can actually steward that beforehand.
As somebody who's been so committed to the storytelling elements of activism, what have you learned about how you make those connections from the super personal to the global nature of the problem, whether it's on oceans or regenerative ag or things you learned through Lonely Whale or other things?
Yeah, I do believe that the future is decentralized, and this top-down wagging your finger, soapboxing, telling people how to be, who to be, I think, serve its role. But I think that we're going to be far more effective when people start to recognize that they want to take responsibility and that they're empowered to make changes where they are. And they're going to have an understanding of what's needed locally that someone in an office or in a high tower couldn't possibly understand.
Adrienne Grenier, inspiring the Bluebird Green Festival participants in Seattle. They also heard from a climate activist whose message starts where she did, at home in Mexico.
I come from an indigenous community in central Mexico called Ocotiltepec.
There we go.
We have a lot of values around respect for nature, reciprocity, intergenerational collaboration, and seeing nature as an extension of us.
Super delay though.
Sharing this detail about my language, which is that the work we're doing is the same as the work for the other day.
There we go.
So, embedded in our culture is we respect each other. And we
This shit is super delay. Super delay though. This shit is super delay. Super delay though.
Children, one of those youth today. For many people in the climate space that have been in the climate space for decades, they know that, they knew how bad it was going to get, but we, as youth climate activists, know nothing else. My generation is here today because we have no other choice. And we really want to make sure that when we talk about activism, which is a very mystified term, what does it mean to be an activist? What does it mean to speak up? I think it means to be creative, because creativity is looking at something and seeing how it can be more beautiful, how it can work better.
How do I
more effective, or in this case, how can we work towards balance with Mother Earth? But today we are in a case where many people from my generation are either totally ignoring the climate crisis and focusing on daily trends over consumption, or so embedded in it that we cannot think of anything else. And I think the path forward is
So-
that I'm going to be sharing today, which is about how do we work together
How do I,
intentionally, so that we are not saying things like a ghost color future. We're saying we have a problem now, how can we fix it together?
I think I'm curious, sort of a twofold question. Why is it so important to have youth activists in this space? But also, do you feel like sometimes there's like a little bit of lip service being paid to like the things that you've been saying?
People should not listen to the things that we're saying, because the things that we're saying entail changing full systems, and we are comfortable in the systems that we have created. And when you have a perspective that is trying to tell you, let's stop, let's change, I understand how difficult that can be, because I can feel it, in my own nonprofit. When somebody else has an idea, you think of everything that needs to happen for it to become a reality. And so I understand why it can feel that youth activists can be naive at times at saying, we need to be net zero by this date, we need to this, and this. And there's this concept that we don't understand the real world, whatever that means, which I think, it's everybody's own perception. But I think that the naiveness is looking at the level of our crisis and thinking that we can't go on any longer. My question for the leaders out there, not only the corporate leaders, but also government leaders, is it not necessary to be uncomfortable, to change their minds, to see the problems, to be empathetic to the way that youth are feeling across the world? And that's why I think that every single company, no matter who you are, needs to have youth advisors, and not just one or two, because harder to stand up when you're just yourself. We need to have true cohorts, true inclusion, true implementation, because at the end of the day, we want youth to be able to shape the world because we want to live in it. We want our kids to live in it. We want it to be healthy and safe. In indigenous communities, there's the concept of good living, of good enough, of not better but good. And so we have to question ourselves, how do we tell stories of good? What is good? When do we need no more? And how can the economic system adapt to no more? How can we see value in nature? Why is nature more valuable when it's dead than when it's alive? All of these questions we have to think through because they might be uncomfortable, they might mess up the economic systems in the ways that we know it, but the earth cannot handle it anymore.
Coming up, more from the Bloomberg Green Festival in Seattle.
Welcome everybody to state of Washington, the most innovative state, the most beautiful country, the most wonderful planet in the solar system. So welcome. You're in the right place.